right, so for this video, we are going to figure out what the bearing, range, and time the maneuvering ship will get closest to my vessel or our vessel, which would be our closest point of approach or our CPA. So building off of the original problem of the contact bearing 280 degrees true at a range of 16,000 yards at time 0800, and that same contact bearing 300 degrees true at a range of 10,000 yards at time 0815, and us being on a course of 135 degrees true at 15 knots, we are going to figure out the closest point of approach, or the closest that this maneuvering ship is going to get to our vessel. So first thing that we are going to find is our CPA bearing. So we want to figure out at what bearing that vessel is going to be closest to my ship or our ship. So you can do it one of two ways. First way being either adding or subtracting 90 degrees from the DRM. So I'm going to use this little rock, this little rose quartz here in the center to represent my ship. If you want to figure out whether or not you need to add or subtract, all you gotta do is look at your picture. So if your ship is here and that maneuvering ship is on this side of you, in order for it to get from this point to this point, you're going to be going counterclockwise or to the left. So if you're going counterclockwise, you're going to subtract. If for some reason the ship was over here or on your starboard side or towards the right of you, you're going to be going clockwise. So that's when you would add that 90. For this problem, that maneuvering ship is on our port side or counterclockwise, so we're gonna go ahead and subtract 90. So when you subtract 90 from 073 degrees, which was your DRM, you're gonna get an answer of negative 17. So you can't have negative 17 on a Mo board. So what you're gonna do instead is you are gonna go ahead and subtract that 17 from 360. So 360 minus 17 will give you a DRM of 343 degrees true. If you don't want to do the math, all you have to do is take your weems. You're gonna locate the little plus that's in the center, and there's a line that's shooting up from that little plus mark. All you're gonna do is take your weems. You are going to line that little plus in that line up with your LRM, and then you are just going to roll your weems back until it crosses the center of the Mo board. Once it crosses the center of the Mo board, you are going to make a mark on your LRM and again on your bearing circle. So your CPA is going to be this point. This pink point, that is going to be your point of CPA. That bearing of CPA is going to be whatever you have here. So I have 343 degrees true. So as you can see, we got the same answer doing it both ways. Now we want to figure out the range. All you're going to do is figure out the range from your ship to that maneuvering ship once it is at that point of CPA. So all you are going to do is take your dividers, and you are literally just going to measure from the center of the Mo board or your ship to this point of CPA, because you're trying to figure out the distance from your ship to the point of CPA. So after you measure it, you're going to come over to your 2-to-1 scale. You're going to figure out whatever that measurement is, whatever that distance is. So I got a range of 7,400 yards. So between my ship and this point of CPA, there is a range of 7,400 yards. It's just a coincidence that our distance between M1 and M2 is the same as the distance between E to CPA. That's only a coincidence, all right? More likely than not, your MRM and your CPA range are not going to be the same. So final thing that we're gonna try to figure out is how long it is going to take for the maneuvering ship to reach this point. So we wanna know how long it's gonna take for the maneuvering ship to get from our second sighting of it, so M2, to point CPA. So if we're looking for time, we need two variables. We need our speed and our distance. So our distance, all we're gonna do is take our dividers. We're gonna measure out the distance between M2 and CPA. Bring that over to the speed scale. I got 7,000 yards. So my distance between M2 and CPA is a total of 7,000 yards. So I'm gonna bring that down to my nomogram. I'm gonna make a mark at the 7,000 mark. So now I need to figure out speed. Now I want you to remember that we are assuming that this maneuvering vessel is just continuing along this LRM, not changing course, not changing speed. So because they're not changing course or speed, their speed of relative motion is going to remain the same. So we are going to use that speed of relative motion that we found from doing the contact tracking mode board. We know that speed of relative motion to be 15 knots. Come down to your nomogram, you already have that 15 knots mark. So all you have to do is measure up that 15 knots with your new MRM, which is the distance between M2 and CPA, which you found to be 7,000 yards. Connect the dots, and you have a time. So I got a time of 14 minutes. So what that means is, from our second sighting of that maneuvering ship until the point of CPA, or closest point of approach to our vessel, a total of 14 minutes has elapsed. So one of your quick checks to kind of double check yourself to see if you're actually doing your CPA mode board the right way, when you come down to your nomogram, you should have a V shape. The reason you're gonna have a V shape is because your SRM is not changing. So if you look, it looks like a V. And now we have completed our CPA mode board.